Hey, mister. Hey, your boom. Your boom is in the shot.
Hey guys, welcome to another episode of Your Boom is in the Shot. I am TJ.
I'm Ben.
That's Ben. We are going to talk about Bill and Ted Face the Music today. Pretty excited to talk about this movie. I mean, I'm excited to talk about most things that we talk about.
Yeah, I think so too.
Yeah, man, I really liked the original Bill and Ted movies when I was growing up. Haven't seen either of them in a long time. I wish I had time to rewatch them before this. I kind of wanted to, but I remember loving them. So makes this all the more worth it.
For sure. Before we get into things, I just want to say Alex Winter is one of those people whose face is the same from the top half, no matter what expression he's making. So like he always looks like he's making murder eyes. Like, look at that.
Oh, that's so fucked up.
Isn't it? Isn't that crazy? It's same over here.
Oh, dude, that's fucked up. Like, I feel like even if he was like really mad at you, like screaming, he'd have the same eyes as when he's smiling.
Yep, it's true.
I bet he sleeps with his eyes open too, so he just looks like that all the time.
I'm sure he does. I'm sure everybody on set is just afraid of him all the time.
Yeah, but it's balanced out by the fact that everybody on set is just in love with Keanu all the time.
That's true. I mean, how could you not be?
Dude, he's like probably the most wholesome person in all of entertainment.
He might be.
Like, honestly, like some of the stories I've read of Keanu is just incredible.
He's a beautiful man.
He's breathtaking. Okay, so let's get right into it, guys. I'm going to give a quick 30-second thoughts, and then I'll hand it off to you, Benjamin.
Yeah, let's hear it.
I will say, I was pretty thoroughly delighted by this movie on the whole. I think it's just the right piece of entertainment at the right time. You know, it's just happy to be silly and stupid and uplifting. It's just positive vibes. You know, there's never really any like, you know, overt subtext that's like really socially hard hitting, you know, which you expect in your entertainment today. And it's not a bad thing.
It's the way a Bill and Ted movie should be.
Exactly. And I think, and to that point, I think it really keeps the spirit of the first two in a really, it keeps in their spirit. And I think a lot of times movies like Indiana Jones is a good example. You know, movies that like are long awaited sequels, a lot of times just fail to capture the original, you know, vibe. And I think this one does a really great job. And it closes out the trilogy super well.
It definitely feels like Bill and Ted.
Yeah. I mean, and what better message right now than like be excellent to each other? You know? Like that's what we all need in 2020. Sure. You know what I mean, man?
For sure.
Not a perfect movie. I have some issues with it. Relatively minor for the most part, which we'll get into later. But yeah, that's like my 40-second thoughts.
Nah, dude, it was like a minute and a half.
Really? Shit.
It's okay.
We're working on it. But you, Benjamin.
My 30-second thoughts. I think that basically this movie was good. I mean, I liked it. I wasn't expecting anything super like mind-bending or profound or anything like that. And as far as like a Bill and Ted's movie should be, I saw the first one. I didn't see the second one. I didn't realize there was a second one until after I started watching the new one, which is fine. I loved it. I loved the first Bill and Ted's. I love this one. I think that there are a lot of problems with it. The acting is not great, but also like,
but it's a Bill and Ted movie, right?
You know, I'm closing up on my 30 seconds, but I just want to say, I think that I almost wonder if Alex Winters and Keanu Reeves were told to act as badly as they did when they were teenagers. Or like early 20s, like, because they definitely, both of them can act better than that. And I thought that was really, really kind of amazing almost.
Well, yeah, because like, I mean, because Keanu, we know is like, can be next level good.
Yeah, absolutely.
In movies. And I think it's one of those things like, you have to be really smart to play stupid.
Oh, yeah.
Convincingly, you know, and I think like and I think it kind of serves to that wider point of like, oh, it's been 25 years, but they haven't grown that much. They've grown in some ways. And I want to get into that a little bit later, that I think actually lends itself to the movie in a really nice way. But they also haven't grown in a lot of ways. It's like the marriage counseling, you know, they're like, we love you. Like,
they're Bill and Ted.
Yeah, exactly.
The package.
Right.
But it's really interesting though, to play on your point of like, it takes a good actor to play stupid, or to act badly. You know, acting bad is only funny if the actor who's doing it knows what they're doing. Mm-hmm. And I think where Keanu Reeves and Alex Winter do a pretty decent job of acting poorly, intentionally, I think that Samara Weaving and Bridget Lundy Payne kind of don't. I think their bad acting doesn't really land super well.
Yeah, they're all right. I'll just get it right out of the way up front. They're definitely the thing I have the biggest problem with.
I mean, I knew you were going to have the biggest problem with that.
No, but listen, it's not for the reason that you think. Listen, I am all for the handing it off to them.
Yeah.
I think if there is any direction forward for this franchise, it is through them still, if it does happen. And I'm cool with that. I'm fine with the handing of the baton part of it. I'm fine with the girl power part of it. That's fine. And I think, honestly, and this is where I think I do diverge from you, is that I actually think they did a pretty good job with what they were given. And I think they were probably directed to be kind of, just clones of their dads.
I think probably agree with that.
So their acting is I think decent enough for what they're given, but I think it's a half measure. And the reason why I say that is because they really are in a lot of ways just clones of their dads. And I think you can justify that in the script by saying, well, maybe they just have only been around their dads and that's their dads are their heroes, and that's fine. Right. But I think it would have been a lot more interesting, at least for me personally, if they
had their own characters.
If they had their own characters and they were like, because dude, they're playing like a stereotypical dude of like the 80s and 90s. They're playing their dads, right? And like it doesn't really read as convincing for girls like today. I'm not saying they had to be like super generic.
I think
girls,
they had the look
but
down, like the hipster look, because they that was how they were introduced. Like in the first scene when you meet them in the garage and they're like going on about music and talking with Bill and Ted and like, oh, you guys are awesome, and they're talking about bands. Like they totally give off like a hipster, like art ho type vibe, and I think that was really compelling until that never got expanded upon.
Well, yeah, but then it's even down to like the physical comedy of it and the line readings, like they're just their dads.
Like, whoa,
what's up, dude? Oh my god!
Like I thought that was a little hammy.
It's one note, and it's like, and it's just we've already seen it in this franchise, in this movie,
right? And I was saying before we started the podcast, like I've seen what Bridget Lunny Payne in Atypical, which is a show on Netflix. And I have mixed feelings about this show. It's sort of like a sort of high drama with some somewhat problematic content. Anyway, that aside, she delivers consistently strong performances in that show. That show is like a guilty pleasure for me. And she is so good. Like she carries that show. Yeah, and
I've never seen her in anything else, but I will take your word for it. I've seen Smart Weaving and other things too, and I feel the same way about her.
Yeah, they're both gorgeous, right? And I should say Bridget Lunny Payne prefers they them pronouns, so I'm going to try to.
I didn't know.
Yeah, I found that out like 5 minutes ago when I was doing my research. So they them they're great in that movie or in that TV show, like phenomenal. And I feel like they're both a really good fit for who like being the children of Bill and Ted. I think it's weird. Like, I don't know if their role is maybe just understated too much in that film. And maybe that's why it reads so poorly. Maybe if they had more parts in it.
I mean, I think they play probably the most significant role in the universe of the film in gathering that,
yeah, but they don't get a lot of
time-saving
band compared to
I guess
Bill and Ted.
I mean, I guess. I mean, I think it's just more of like it's like what you've said 100 times about Captain Marvel. I think it's a half measure. Yeah, I think they were too afraid to jump too much from the fathers, from what was established to work. I think they could have went really into like modern hipster girls or modern punk girls or modern metal girls. Like they could have been their own thing and way more than they are.
Yeah,
I think they're less stupid than their dads, and in that way they're kind of evolved from them.
Yeah, for sure. But they figure out what's going on like super early on, and they're just like, oh, we got to get all the dudes together to make the best band in the world.
Which is hilarious because like they take all these pieces of like different genres and different eras. There's like a caveman drummer.
Oh my! How did you feel about the caveman drummer?
That was hilarious.
All right, so
that was a really funny bit.
Clenched my butt when that happened. I had such a weird visceral reaction because like so Jimi Hendrix obviously is the first one they grab. Yeah. And I'm like, Jimi Hendrix, fucking classic, awesome, great choice, wonderful. Really, the actor who plays Jimi Hendrix in that movie does a great job of portraying like a Jimi Hendrix character.
And so does Louis Armstrong, the actor. Oh
my God. Yeah, for sure. The two of them I thought were incredible, and I wish they had more parts in that role. But it's Jimi Hendrix and then Louis Armstrong. And I'm like, oh, they're going to do like a famous musicians from history. And then they do Mozart. And then it's like, then
and
it's
that's
like,
about it. Then they
that's
go into
it.
like Chinese folklore.
Yeah, and then
just
it's the caveman.
Yeah.
And I'm like, I understand that, right? Like you're going further and further back in time.
Yeah.
But like, I don't understand why you made the choice to just like make up a drummer.
Right.
Like,
I don't know. Yeah, because they could have
supposed
just
to be funny.
Yeah. I don't know.
Because like also Kid
I
Cudi
feel like
was
they
in it.
would have grabbed like they could have grabbed like Ringo or something, you know? Like, he's
Yeah,
still
like
alive.
somebody, you know. But like that aside, what the fuck? Why was Kid Cudi in that movie?
Because he's in things now. Like I don't know.
He was
like, I think it's
weird.
because
he was a weird character.
He's kind
in
of
the
more
movie.
of a DJ, and I think honestly, I wouldn't be surprised if they put him in there just to justify how they made all those parts work in the end by him like helping them play their little parts and putting it together.
Like with his weird like pseudo astrophysics.
Yeah.
I was bizarre. I didn't understand. I didn't. Maybe I'm just not like I'm missing something. Maybe there's like a scene and inside joke in Kid Cudi's inclusion in that film that I didn't.
Well, he's
get.
one of the people who like gets displaced in time and space.
Yeah, I know.
guess you know, but like yeah,
but
he just
why
happens
Kid
to be
Cudi?
there. I think it's just he. I don't know.
I didn't find him. I felt like he didn't lead to me feeling like I enjoyed the movie more. He led to me wondering what his role other than MacGuffin like.
Yeah. I wonder what other
know.
modern figure. I mean, I guess the only one I can think of, like current person they could have grabbed would have been like Dave Grohl.
Yeah,
and that would have even made sense because
sick.
they go to his mansion. Well,
I think
or like
that-
what they say.
Maybe
his
Kid
mansion might
Cudi
not
was
be.
a half measure too. Maybe they wanted
Yeah.
to try and find somebody that was more commercially popular.
Yeah.
And someone like Dave Grohl. Well, if Dave Grohl was in the movie,
He's in it. Yeah.
for like 30 seconds.
Yeah.
But
He's, in my opinion, one of the greatest living songwriters. So
I think
would have
that
made
Dave
sense to me.
Grohl is an incredible musician.
Mhm.
And like there are few musicians that rank as highly in my like chart of iconic.
Well, he's a
musicians
one-man
as him.
band, dude.
I know.
Like the first Foo Fighters album is literally just him.
I know.
You know?
I know. It's fucking amazing. Like he's so talented.
Mhm.
But that, you know,
That aside, Kid Cudi, yeah,
Kid Cudi.
he's there.
Weird choice.
He's a thing.
So I'm gonna go on a little. We had this professor in college named Kaylin, and I love her. She's wonderful. Kaylin, if you ever listen to this podcast, I want you to know you're like my school mom.
Mhm.
I remember we did a particular chapter in our media ethics where she brought out like a Rolling Stones magazine,
Mhm.
and to talk about one of the articles inside of it that was about like rape on campus. But the cover was Dave Grohl, and I remember when she took the magazine out, she like hugged it and said, "I love you, Dave Grohl," and I'll like never forget that for the rest of my life.
That's funny.
I mean, who doesn't love Dave Grohl?
People who aren't woke enough.
Well,
to
I feel like
have
Dave
listened
Grohl.
to his
Dave
music,
Grohl
I
is
guess.
like he like occupies the same kind of space in my mind as like Chris Cornell. Is just like one of
Yeah.
those like
Mhm.
beautiful, amazing
sure.
musicians. That's just like untouchable,
Mhm.
you know. But anyway, that aside, what else about the film? What else were we gonna? What else should we talk about?
Well, I guess since we're on acting, I can mention other actors and characters. I think William Sadler's death. You didn't see the second one, so he was in that one. It's the
Mhm.
same actor, and he's doing the same thing that he did in the first one or in the second one, which was his first appearance. And I thought he was really funny. I thought
Yeah.
that character worked, and I loved when like they go find him in hell, and he's cheating himself in hopscotch and talking about how like because okay, so again, because you hadn't seen the second one, like
Yeah.
he joined Wild Stallions with Bill
Right.
and Ted. And they like, there's like, it's told in this movie how like they had kicked him out, which by the
Mhm.
way, that's another thing I just want to mention real quick. I love when in the beginning of the movie, when they were showing like the Wild Stallions through the decades, like they
Mhm.
had like the new metal era
Yeah,
and
yeah,
like
I
their
thought that
late
was
career
pretty
trying
funny.
to be artsy era.
Yeah.
But then Death is like, oh yeah, I tried to go solo and did a bass only album and critics hated it and said it was meandering. Like I just,
This is
the
what
fact that
hour
Death
long
is saying
bass
that,
solos.
yeah.
Oh my god.
Like it was just, I think that fit so perfectly.
There was
the vibe of the movie.
one of the things I loved about this movie was all of the music jokes, like
Mhm.
jokes that musicians for musicians,
Right.
And I guess the movie's called Face the Music.
Well,
so
like when they're trying to figure out how to get everybody to play it, and they're like, "Oh, C major, 117 beats a minute," and like they're like, "All right, got it. All right, what's the universal code? Oh, we got to go to 6969. Nice, that's my favorite number."
Oh my god, amazing!
Yeah.
And it like then the music was good. Like
Mhm. I didn't like the song. I thought
The
the
end
song was
song?
pretty lame.
Oh,
The
yeah, it
song
was-
that
it was
unified
underwhelming.
the
It was just
world,
like a pop
or
song.
yeah.
But like
was kind of a wet fart with like all of like what was built up to it. You know what I mean?
Oh, yeah,
like I don't think
sure.
I don't think it could ever have been, what it needed to be. It was like the whole point is they can't write a song that good. How do you write a song good enough to unify the whole?
No one can. So everyone just plays the same time and it's the same thing.
That's fine. Yeah,
I thought that was really clever. But when I say I like the music, I mean I like the music leading up to that. So like,
I know what you're saying.
So like when
I just want to say
when
in
Jimi
that
Hendrix plays like the fucking when he's playing the guitar while Louis Armstrong is trying to play it, he's like,
or Mozart.
When Mozart is playing Mozart to Mozart, and then Mozart plays to the Chinese woman or whatever. Like it's just like that whole time. It's just like whoa. Like the music uniting these people.
That was one moment where like for a second
and
I was butthurt when Jimi Hendrix was like playing the guitar like it was playing through an amp.
Oh yeah, he wasn't plugged into anything.
But then it was like after like a second I was like, it's a Bill and Ted movie. It
doesn't matter.
I don't care.
Yeah, I was just happy to hear somebody shredding like
absolutely.
Like Jimi Hendrix.
And like I was so delighted to see like I think what you're kind of getting at is like the mixing of the periods, right?
Yeah.
Like when Louis Armstrong is holding the iPhone and he's like, fellas, you got to see this, right? Or like Mozart hearing like an amplified stringed instrument of some sort,
playing
like,
his own music and like while he was like writing it. And like I don't know. I thought that was like kind of it tugs at the heartstrings a little bit. It's kind of like cool. A wholesome, beautiful, like real way in which music sort of like unifies all music lovers.
It's one constant through all cultures. Yeah, every culture has music.
It's as long as humans have been around.
Yeah, as long as we've had a blunt object to smack off a surface, we've been making music.
Yeah, right. I think that's maybe why the caveman frustrates me.
Maybe that's the point of it, right? Maybe it's supposed to like drive the point home of like
it's always been there.
I
just think it's like why does the caveman play the drums like a 1990s like metal drummer?
Yeah, it's like yeah, it goes straight Neil Peart on the kit once it because I kind of half expected it to see it and be like not know what to do. Yeah, that'd be like a quick problem. Like for example, like Mozart goes to play the synth and he's all freaked out by it.
Yeah, right.
You know, like he would be.
Yeah, of course. Like what the fuck? That's terrifying.
Yeah.
Yeah, I don't know. I thought it was funny but weird. It like uncanny, maybe that's what it was.
Yeah, no, I see what you're saying.
I'm probably just
I loved
being
that
annoying,
it was horrible at first though. Like I kind of saw that coming the whole time. I was like, how is like classical gonna blend with like
they're all playing at the same time and it sounds terrible.
Like, but it's one of the things that just works, and I think because of the movie that it's in, you know what I mean. Like every step of the way, this movie's like, it's dumb. But that's what we're here for. But that's
what you buy into when you watch it. And I think that's why I'm so willing to forgive like all of the nitpicky gripes I have about it and why I was able to come out of it at the other side being like, yeah, this movie was great. I really enjoyed it. Like when I watch movies that try to take themselves seriously and like most of the Marvel movies.
Right.
They like there's a level of like taking themselves seriously and there's like a level of in that universe real things happen, like dramatic, dark people die, you know? But then when there's a dick joke, it's
exactly.
like...
Right. I mean, I was going to say that about Birds of Prey because like I feel like because right now I'm saying I forgive all the dumb shit this movie does. And the last episode I was like, I hate all the dumb shit this movie does. And the reason why is because it's like it's half measures, right? It's like Birds of Prey was trying to be serious in a lot of ways. And then like leaning on, oh, this is supposed to be done when shit didn't work as a crutch. Where like this movie, the whole structure of it that it's built upon is everything is dumb. You know what I mean?
Oh, well,
so
I mean, you know, I don't know if I understand your exact
you're saying
comparison,
like,
but
it's hard to like forgive dumb things when they're also blended with serious things
and blended
like
poorly.
Right. Yeah. And I think in this case, I mean, it's kind of serious that like they're, you know, but in some spots,
no, it's
like
not.
I think it's serious in like the whole like the love with their wives.
Right. That's the only serious part of the whole movie is that Bill and Ted don't want to lose their wives.
Seriousness. Yeah. It's not like an actual life death stake. I mean, it is, but it's not.
But
right?
But I think that like it's more of a like the romance thing, right? Like the drama with Bill and Ted and their wives. And in a lot of ways, that is the MacGuffin. It's like they need to fix their marriage just as much as they need to fix the universe. And fixing their marriage and fixing the universe are one and the same in a lot of ways. And it's like the driving force, you know, the thing that's causing conflict beyond just Bill and Ted having to like figure out how to write the best song to unite everybody.
Right.
It's also like, how do they do that and still keep their wives? Which I think is like a testament to the fact that it's Bill and Ted and they're adults and they have adult things to deal with.
Mm-hmm.
But it doesn't feel like, I don't know, like the movie's trying to be about that. It feels like that's just a part of it. And it sets up all of the really funny jokes with the wives at the end of the movie when they do things like Bill and Ted, where like they talk about themselves as one person. And like, and then it
also turns out in the end that they weren't even trying to divorce Bill and Ted. They were actually just worried about their mental well-being because they spent 25 years failing.
Yeah, right. Yeah, exactly. Exactly. Which I think is kind of beautiful. Yeah. I don't know. I think a lot about that movie was beautiful.
And they were, to the movie's credit, they gave those characters more to do, even though we're not with them at all really on their journey. They gave them more to do than just being pretty princesses. You know what I mean? The wives.
Yeah, for sure.
Because they're just like medieval attractive princesses, and that's what they were in the previous films, and in this one, like they actually get to kind of go do their own adventure and, be their own characters. Right. But yeah,
I think they're really funny because they you wouldn't know that they were from the medieval times if you didn't
well, that's
tell you, but that's the
joke
part
that's made with like the therapist.
The therapist, right.
They're like, oh, what'd you call them? Our princesses, your princesses. No, we're actually princesses.
Yeah, which is like amazing. I don't know. I thought that was really
George Washington ends up on her couch and love it. At least I think it was George Washington.
Somebody, I don't remember.
Dennis Caleb McCoy, the murder robot.
Oh, yeah, Dennis Caleb McCoy. Oh my God. Dude. I thought that was super weird and uncomfortable, but the more I watched it, the more I loved it.
The more he just kept kind of being like, I'm really sorry, guys. Hey, I'm Dennis.
Hi, I'm Dennis. And everybody's just like, everybody's like really, really painfully like trying not to just like tell him to fuck off.
Yeah.
Like the whole time.
Like they're in hell because of him.
Yeah.
They're still trying to like, all right, okay,
like
Dennis. Yeah.
Well, because it's like very immediately like, all right, we understand you're not all there.
Yeah.
Like, and that now I feel bad for you because like you're just doing the best you can.
Yeah.
Which I think was another like kind of beautiful narrative. Like there's a lot of times where like, somebody like what was his name? It was Dennis Caleb McCoy, named after the one woman's ex-boyfriend.
Yeah.
Because her mom is like super aggro.
Oh, and her I loved too.
Yeah, they were all really great.
Oh, and just to say real quick before I forget, because she's the daughter of George Carlin's character from the originals.
Yeah.
And I loved the little George Carlin tribute, the hologram.
Mm-hmm.
George Carlin is easily my favorite stand-up comedian of all time. So
yeah,
loved it.
For sure.
I thought that was really beautiful. But that's like, yeah, those are characters that like they feel so modern, like Dennis. And
they take him with them when they leave. When they leave hell. And it's kind of like that's sweet.
This is your second chance. Now go be a sensitive robot. I also love like, oh, there's a robot in hell because he died somehow.
Well, yeah, that's everybody. Everybody's just like, are you fucking kidding me? But it's just like that's the Bill and Ted's world. That's the universe,
Yeah.
If it makes sense within the universe, then it.
But the daughter again, though, she's great. That actress she plays like the same character that she plays in like I guess everything else I've seen her in, like The Last Man on Earth, where she's just like super awkward. But like means well, you know, and I think this is the perfect character for that, for the role she had, and actress executing it perfectly.
Yeah, I agree.
And same thing with the robot.
I think it was a well cast film. Like I think regardless of the minor flaws and like whether we love the way that the daughters are written, I think all of the casting was really well done. Like I think that there's not a single character in that movie that I was like, I could see somebody else doing that better than them.
Right.
Which I think is important. Like, I think there are some movies you watch and you're like, I don't know about that character,
Mm-hmm.
But I think they all did a really, really wonderful job.
Yeah, I would agree. Special effects were a lot better than I would have expected for just being like a comedy.
They weren't great,
they weren't like the best.
You know what? To be honest, though, they felt in this middle ground for me where they were like too good to be funny because they're bad, but like too bad to be like impressive.
Yeah.
And like I don't really know if that landed for me super well.
Like it kind of clashed with the vibe for you a little bit.
Yeah, like I would have liked it better if it was like,
either really, really good or really, really bad.
Right. Yeah, exactly. Like either make it like super epic and like make it like a Christian Bale movie.
Yeah.
Or not a Christian Bale movie, a fucking
Chris Nolan.
Chris, yeah, or like any of those like super big budget, like high levels of CG.
Well, and I think that's kind of like what happens when you get the big budget, big studio, like long awaited sequel to the cult movie. You know what I mean? You're going to get that clash because they're like, they have the money to throw at it, that they're like, oh, let's do what we can do with the money we have. But like, you know, so they probably would find it less safe to make it overtly bad, because I think a lot of people wouldn't get it today, you know. But like they still don't have quite the budget of like, you know, a Marvel flick.
Absolutely. Right? I totally agree with that. It's just sad because I would have loved like like the phone boxes having like jump cuts with like fire coming out of the ground, like really cheesy, like like late night TV, you know, kind of animations and stuff. Like I would have thought that was really funny, but it was just a little bit too good for that sort of thing.
Yeah.
And then you could still have like the final scene at the end when they're on the bridge and everybody's like freaking out and there's the giant vortex over them. If every other scene in the movie was like super cheesy and that was the good one, I'd probably have been okay with that.
Yeah.
Because it's not like the framing and stuff, like the composition of all the shots, it like looked like it was a movie shot in the 90s on a low budget. Like it was nothing like particularly interesting happens in any of the shots.
Oh, you mean you can tell it's like a really modern digital, like, you know, camera work. But yeah, like the actual composition is pretty like consistent.
Well, it's like obviously not a vintage camera because it's very, very clearly like hyper sharpened digital footage. But it's just that like the way it's shot, like aesthetically, is very like old Bill and Ted's movie, which is why I wanted. You
wanted them to go all the way with that.
Yeah, absolutely.
It's like another half measure in a way, right?
Absolutely. Yeah, absolutely.
Unfortunate, but you know.
But like still fun, you know. Like I didn't say this before. I should have led with this. I got super high before I watched Bill and Ted's. Mom, if you're listening, I'm sorry. I spoke to Fat Joint. Like I'm not gonna lie.
My mom, if you're listening, I'm sorry to say I didn't get high before this movie, although I probably should have.
TJ's mom, you can just adopt me. It's fine. You won't get mad at me for smoking weed or talking about the fact that I smoke weed. I guess that's what my mom actually gets mad about.
Hey man,
but
it's not your show, Ben's mom.
Yeah. Mom,
I'm sure you're a sweet lady, Ben's mom.
She is. She's wonderful. She's just prude. Yeah. But like, I don't normally. I think it's important mentioning because like I don't normally smoke when I watch movies that I'm going to talk about in the podcast. I normally don't smoke before I watch or before I talk on the podcast, unless it's like, you know, I did like once or twice with weed that did not get me high at all. So like CBD weed, which is like different.
Yeah.
But I think that like I was better for watching this movie in that state. Like I think that a lot of the stuff that I loved, I would have still loved if I wasn't high, but it was not the same level of like joy. Like I was talking about earlier, like when Jimi Hendrix was playing for Mozart, like that moment in particular was like a really like beautiful thing for me. Like when he starts playing,
so in the zone.
I was just like, this is incredible.
Yeah.
This is exactly what I'm like. I'm here for.
Yeah. Like that was me when I saw Jay and Silent Bob Reboot.
Yeah.
You know, I was like blitzed when I watched that. I thought the movie slapped so hard.
I still have not seen it, but that's a movie that
I like it. I love it. I mean, I stand Kevin Smith for the most part. So
yeah, no, I feel that.
Yeah.
I really do. I just thought it was
important to mention. No, it's relevant, I think.
Any movie about like weird basement dwelling 90s musicians, like, come on.
So now where's Wayne's World 3? Now we need that. Come on. We got Jay and Silent Bob back. We got Bill and Ted back. Where are Wayne and Garth?
It's true.
That's all I'm saying.
It's true. I'd watch that movie.
I would love to watch that movie. Ben, okay, so I know you're a big art direction guy. You have anything to say about the art direction? I liked, for me, I don't have much to say about it, but I liked a lot of little subtle things that I thought were cool, like in the daughter's garage. They had like a Faith No More poster, which I love Faith No More and Mike Patton in general. So that was cool for me. I also loved the guitars that they put behind Bill and Ted in the future.
All of the guitars.
You know, you got like Slash's guitar, you got Angus's guitar. Like I thought that was really cool. That was a nice touch. I think there was a lot of clever subtlety in that stuff. Mm-hmm. I think for most of the movie, there wasn't really a lot going on in the background for art direction. Like in general, like it's not like a big fantasy movie where there was like where you have to build a whole new universe, except for the future
tons
stuff.
And tons of concept art, but even the future stuff was
just like looks like a generic future.
I mean, honestly, it kind of looked like 1980s like approach to making a future.
I thought it looked to me not so much like the way they were dressed, but like the environments looked a lot to me like the third season of Westworld, which I know you still haven't seen, but like they're like the part where they like the place where they land and they see the George Carlin hologram.
It was like Metropolis.
Like looks like it was pulled out of like a very similarly shot scene from season 3 of Westworld. Gotcha. Like the whole time I was like, oh wow, this is very Westworld.
I mean, it struck me very like Metropolis-y. Yeah. Which is like fine. I think that there's like a way that like there's like a charm that you get from low budget science fiction movies where like the outfits are kind of like silly.
Right.
Like the one woman who like the like leader of the future society, like she has that weird like hat with like the plastic tiara thing on it. Yeah. And like I'm like, this is such like a bad sci-fi movie like outfit. And I kind of loved it. It was like kind of
well, that's one of those things that like lends itself to keeping in like the same kind of vibe and theme of the originals. It's
like they definitely didn't have to do it that way, but they chose to, and I kind of appreciate that. I really love the outfits that the daughters wear. I think they're like weird but like amazing. I don't know.
Yeah. No, I enjoyed that about their characters for sure. That's
they're also
that
both
was the good part of the half measure, you know? Like they're like aesthetically they got them. The writing failed them. Yeah. You know?
Yeah. They like I think writing them as dudes like 1980s, 1990s
they're just their dads.
Was just like
they're just their dads.
Yeah, you know? It was kind of a waste. I liked how like innocent and like positive they were. Like I think that was like a beautiful aspect of their character.
That really carries a lot of the overall message of this movie, which is so Bill and Ted, like be excellent to each other, man. You know, let's save the world one day at a time by just being nice to people.
And I think that's almost enough for me to forgive like the awkwardness of their
for sure
their like lines and acting.
Yeah, for me it's more of like it's not like it breaks the movie that they are only what they are, but it's like it would have been better if they went farther with it, you know. Yeah. But I think like like I'd said at the top of this, I think like it's just the way those characters are, the way Bill and Ted are, the way just this whole movie is in general is just it's so positive and it's so just like, hey man, let's just be good to each other.
I will say Bill and Ted's characters are sometimes uncomfortable because they're like old dudes. And like I know people who like talked like Bill and Ted when they were in their 20s, like
but now
in
they talk like older dudes.
But now they talk like old dudes. Yeah. And like I know that the point is that Bill and Ted never grew up. But like,
I wonder if like those people, if they had experienced the things that Bill and Ted did, if they had like traveled through time, died, gone to hell, came back, and like literally been told that they have to write the song that saves all of space and time, that like they would just stay in like their houses and like be doofuses for 25 years. You know what I mean?
Yeah, I totally do. I know this is like kind of off track, but I just keep thinking about the wedding song at the beginning of the movie.
Super avant-garde.
I loved it. I loved that song.
And the theremin.
The theremin, and then he plays the bagpipes. I was like, I'm not gonna lie to you, TJ. I literally thought to myself, I kind of want to.
I laughed out loud at that part.
This song just so I could listen to it because it's like, it wasn't a good song.
No,
but it was so enjoyable,
it was funny,
and it was so weird
that they would play that at their brother or Ted's brother's wedding.
Yeah,
that they'd be like, "Here is the jam."
Here, and it's like not even like it's not even like a normal song's length. No. It's like they finish like the first part of the song and then switch to other instruments.
Like they had to get cut off.
Yeah. You know? I just thought that was really funny and like and I enjoyed. I'd listen to theremin playing all afternoon. Like, I'm not going to lie to you.
Especially if in, like, my head canon, Keanu Reeves is playing it.
That's what I'm saying. I mean? Like, I was watching this and I'm like, I want to listen to the Wild Stallions, like, most recent album. Yeah. The one that got that nobody likes and everybody, like, threw it.
Because that would be like that, like, band that used to be Relevant's late career artsy foray that, like, gets no mainstream attention but gains a cult following. Die. Yeah.
And then they die. And then everybody's like, oh, actually.
Yeah.
They were
that
really
last album was something really special and different. Yeah.
It was. Bagpipe breakdown.
Theremin, throat singing.
Himalayan throat singing. Oh my God.
His throat singing almost sounds like a death growl.
Yeah. I mean,
like at one point you're like, oh.
I think that's probably as close to actual throat singing as he could have gotten.
Yeah.
Because throat singing is like incredibly difficult and requires like years of training. I did like the line where his daughter was like, "Oh my God, Dad, that throat singing, that was awesome." And I was like,
"Yep." Oh, they're deep cut like musical references, most of which even flew over my head. Like the fact that they were making them, I thought was pretty cool because like that was something where it showed like, this is something where I'm okay with them like being very similar to their dads. That they are like clearly they just love music. Yeah, and like when we walk in on them in the garage, they're just jamming. They're just like both had different headsets in, and they're just like that's just a thing they do. And it's like that spoke so true to me from when like I know these characters are 24, which is just barely younger than I am now. But
it's how old I am now.
Yeah, but like when I was a teenager, that's exactly how I was. And a lot of times, me and like my friends too, we just sit in a room and listen to music for an entire day.
I'm not gonna lie. I would totally die for a girlfriend like one of Bill and Ted's, like either of the daughters. Like
even if she was like, "Yo, Ben, man,"
I'd be like, "Listen, we're gonna set some ground rules. Don't call me bro." But like everything else,
whoa,
yeah. If I could get past that aspect of how the way that they talk, like personality wise. That's definitely like my ideal woman right there.
Yeah. I can't disagree.
Hey man, you already got it.
I was gonna say, yeah. One of the things that, made me fall in love with my now fiance was the fact that like she would sit there and be like, "Yeah, man."
She used to be in a ska band.
Yeah, she used to just like, I remember I still talk to her about this to this day, not to get too far into my personal life to get off this track. But I remember just I'll bring it up to her one time. We were just sitting in the Walmart parking lot before we even officially became a couple. And I just remember her being like we were talking about music and her just literally being like, "Absolutely, dude. Yeah, man. Fuck yeah." And I was like, I've never seen a pretty girl talk like that.
That's why we
you know
what
I mean? Yeah.
But that aside, Bill and Ted. So
Billy and Thea.
So we've talked about quite a lot. Do you have any other topics you wanted to touch on? I feel like you usually do.
I think I've hit everything that's in my notes, honestly, like throughout this.
I feel like
there's probably going to be 5 things, 10 things that like tomorrow I'm like, shit.
It happens to me every time.
Yeah.
I think that like I'm really bad at taking notes because when I take notes, I end up writing down stuff and then reading it the next day and being like, what the fuck was I talking about?
Right. I just give myself like bullet points so that way, like when we're on the pod, I'm like, did I miss anything? Gotta talk about that. All right. Yeah. And then like, or you'll start talking about something and be like, oh, this is the perfect time for me to jump in with that thing. Yeah. I think what it is that like, if there were like really subtle, nuanced like thoughts that I had about the movie, I forgot them after I watched the movie I watched immediately after it, which is I'm Thinking About Ending Things, which is going to be probably a future episode for us. And that kind of like dwarfed Bill and Ted in my mind, and in terms of like thought. Well, Bill and Ted is like it's kind of like what we were talking about on the Return episode a few episodes back when you were saying like there's films that like are just lighthearted fun that's just like a counter programming to serious shit, and then there's like films. And I think that's exactly what you're saying. Bill and Ted was like the just goofy, fun entertainment. And I haven't seen yet.
You will.
Haven't seen I'm Thinking of Ending Things, but it sounds like it is
you hit the nail on the head. I think it's actually different than a film. Like it's an art piece. Like
and you said it's the director of Synecdoche,
New York. Yeah, Synecdoche, New York,
which is that's a film.
Being John Malkovich.
Okay.
It's a movie, and I'm looking forward to our episode on it next week.
Yes. Well, man, I think we actually, I think we really said everything we need to say. I guess we can give final verdicts. I think, we're both net positive on it for sure.
I mean, I'd give it a solid like 7 out of 10.
I think it's the rare, worthy, long-awaited sequel.
Yeah. You know what? I think that like I didn't watch it and think it did a disservice to the older movies, and I think that's the most important thing.
It doesn't just feel like a soulless cash grab. It feels like an earnest movie.
Well, I remember talking to you about Bill and Ted's before I'd watched it, before either of us had watched it, and we were discussing the whole like daughters thing. And
Yeah.
and we were relating it to Ghostbusters and how they like, remade Ghostbusters with all female cast and how that felt like a cash grab.
Yeah, because it felt like diversity for the sake of like diversity and like just being woke.
Well, it felt like when evil companies make their banners and logos rainbow colored for Pride Month when like they don't have the interest of the LGBTQ plus community at heart.
I think when it's done in a way that is clearly sincere, it's super meaningful.
And I had said that I had a lot of hope for Bill and Ted because it wasn't like they remade Bill and Ted with a female Bill and Ted. No, they made Bill and Ted and then wrote into the story a really, really beautiful and natural way to pass on the legacy in a way that's like, I don't want to say like more diverse, but it's like a natural next step, like and I think the choice to make it Bill and Ted's Daughters was like a really smart one because now not only is that opening the door to Bill and Ted to a lot of people who might not have watched it, it's also like there's no boys club,
right?
And like there could have been, and there was. I don't think there was in the original Bill and Ted, but like there definitely isn't now.
Yeah,
and I think it was done in a really
and I think for what it's worth, like this movie does a pretty good job with the diversity.
Oh yeah, for sure.
The first two musicians it gets are famous black musicians. Like I think the original ones were a lot of like cis white dudes. Like
Absolutely.
I mean like as much as like that's relevant to like the 1700s grabbing Napoleon and stuff, but you know what I mean, like
but like they
got a figure from Chinese folklore.
They were even
absolutely. the cave woman they got was a black cave woman, you know what I mean, sure. Like they tried
and they didn't do it in a way that felt
sincerely
forced.
They tried.
They were like, hey, we want to be all inclusive.
It's not the 80s anymore, but it wasn't insincere.
Absolutely.
And also for what it's worth, if done right and done in a way that's interesting and compelling, I'd pay to see a Billy and Thea movie.
I would totally.
I would love to.
I love them both, and I've said that a number
develop
of
them
times,
into their own characters a little more. Go and do their own thing, fully detached from their dads. I'd love that. I would love that movie.
Absolutely, I would too. I would totally love that movie. I think that my verdict, I say 7 out of 10. 7 out of 10 in terms of like critical movie reviews compared to all of the other movies in my catalog.
I'd probably give
movies.
it an 8.
I think that my enjoyment on my enjoyment scale is definitely like a 9 out of 10.
Yeah.
I think a 9 out of 10 in terms of how much I loved it, and 7 out of 10 in terms of how good of a movie I think
that's actually a more detailed version of how I feel. I think I feel exactly the same. That's why I think I netted it at an 8. Because I think critically it's about a 7. But
there's nothing really terrible about that movie. And I think 7 is pretty good of a score, and maybe is I don't want to say it's more than it deserves, because I think that if I enjoyed it so much, then it did something right. You know,
I enjoyed the shit out of it.
I did too.
Now I want to go home and watch it again.
I don't know if I don't know if I enjoyed it that much.
Because I did purchase it because it was only $5 more to purchase it than rent it. So I was like, fuck it. I'm glad I did, because I'll probably go rewatch it.
Yeah, I don't blame you.
Yeah. Great movie. Loved it.
Thanks for listening, guys.
Yes, thank you for listening, guys. If you have any other thoughts, you want to reach out to us about anything, you want to be shouted out on the podcast with your input.
A fucking idiot.
If you think I'm a fucking idiot,
you can email us at yourboomisintheshot
gmail.com. All right. Peace out, guys. Be excellent to each other.
Boom is in the shot. Come on, mister. You boom. Come on, man. You boom.